This is what I'm struggling with in America right now in my 20s. Why is everything so expensive? Why am I making more money waitressing than I would make using my college degree? I barely have a life. I have 2 days off and I work Wednesday to Sunday, doubling just to pay my bills. At 22 years old, all of my bills are in my name. I have no help. How are y'all affording housing? In Myrtle Beach, a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,500. How are y'all getting insurance, going to the doctor, getting medicine? And then some of us are trying to be TikTok influencers. Who knows where that's going to get me? Me and my boyfriend are saving, but we barely see each other during the week, and it feels like we're working our out for nothing. Do we need to move somewhere for a better job opportunity that we don't know about? Do any of y'all really know what you want to do with your life right now? It is so scary being in America right now.
What am I doing wrong? I work every day and I'm still broke. Like, I have a decent job, I make some decent money, but I live out here in Cali. Like, bro, as soon as I get paid, I have all these bills stacked up, bro, that shit wipes me clean. Like, fuck, I got no money left over. Making $100,000 a year doesn't get you anywhere nowadays.
Hi guys, I'm really stressed today. I just went to the grocery store, bought 10 items, and it was $80 freaking already. I literally have $10 left on my account. So a little backstory. I got laid off from my job a month ago. And I've been applying for jobs months before I got laid off. Sent out hundreds of resumes already. Applied to hundreds of jobs on the internet, remote and on-site. Tailored my resume to every position that I applied using ChatGPT. Went to only a few interviews. And still nothing. Like, what the f going on with America right now? Like, it's so freaking hard to live here. Like, I'm gonna stay positive. I'm gonna keep applying for jobs. I'm gonna keep showing up. But man, my bills are not going to wait.
Y'all, I just went today and got my driver's license renewed, my car tags renewed, picked up 2 prescriptions, and got a few groceries. To say that I'm completely broke now is an understatement. So I'm going to have to go home and start selling off my furniture to be able to live the rest of the month. I mean, that's just, it's unbelievable. And my heart hurts today. Truly hurts for people who are not able. And we're living in some rough times, really rough times. And we need to be praying for all those around us who are not as fortunate as we are to be able to do the things that we need to do. I'm not talking about extras. I'm not talking about going on vacation and doing fun things. I'm talking about living, taking care of your vehicle if you can even afford a vehicle, putting groceries on the table, buying medicine, the things you have to do. It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's a really sad thing here. You know, we have a generation that is right now trying to survive in the U.S. and they're doing it at a time that it is so difficult with the rising costs. I really do feel for the younger generation and even for the older generation. I mean, you're hearing the stories here that it's just so difficult right now. You go and do a few things and it's like your bank account is empty, and that is the reality. Money goes by so quickly, and the reason why is because primarily, in my opinion, wages have not kept up here in the U.S. That's a fact. And also the cost.
Talk to me about your reaction.
In my opinion, wages have not kept up here in the U.S. That's a fact. And also the cost of everything has gone up so dramatically that right now, it's just not lining up. It's really, really, really difficult to make ends meet. And you do have to start learning to do with less. Take out the luxuries in life. Take out the unnecessary vacations, the unnecessary spending. Take out the wants and really just focus on the needs.
Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honor unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, beginning with the 144,000. All right, the cost of living in America is out of control. And, around the world too, even in Trinidad and Tobago here, we have hyperinflation setting in. Prices are going way up. You go to the supermarket, and basically, you spend out all your money in a few groceries. This is how bad it's getting. All right, and this is what these global banking elite want. They want to cause the crash of this system. All right, wages not going up. All right, people can't afford groceries. People can't afford Medicaid to the education. Which can afford, which a lot of people are gonna be unalive and perish. As a result of that, because they don't understand, they don't know about the herbs. They forgot about using the natural herbs and the things that the Lord put on the earth for whatever is ailing them. All right, but this is all plans of the global banking elite. You have to understand the time that we in. They want to crash this economy and bring in the new world order. And that's where it really goes into. Right? So you're seeing hyperinflation, right? Inflation going through the roof, salaries and wages not going up. All right? You're seeing shrinkflation. All right? The same prices you're paying for goods is less you're paying for. Right? Because they put less in the package for you. And this is what it is. All right? Things were already bad before. Right? Because they have a whole lot of chemicals and shit in the food that unaliven you slowly. And making you not well, unwell. But now, hey, prices are going way up. Okay? And all this we've seen here, we have to understand is prophecy, and it's part of what has to happen, for Babylon the Great, to go down, America to crash. Right? And you're seeing more and more of these videos coming out with people crying and bawling, they can't afford to pay anything. The college degrees are a waste of time. They're making more money being a waiter, waitress. All right, even the older folks and all are crying out now, and who's supposed to have savings but who have none. All right, because the things are so tight, things are so dread. All right, so hey, we gotta give praises and thanks to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. We're gonna see shortly the crash of America, crash of the US dollar, and the prophecies are gonna come pouring in as a result. All right, as a result, the prophecies are gonna come pouring right in. But anyway, let me get some precepts. Here, Lord willing, this will be edifying. All right, let's get the book of Revelation. Go straight to the point. Revelation chapter 6. All right, and verse 5, it says, "And when he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, 'Come and see.' And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. Right, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand." Right, like when you balance goods on a scale, to see how much they cost. All right, going back into judgment on this place. All right, and slavery too. It says, "And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny," which a penny represents what? A day's pay. Right? So a whole day's pay, you only buy what? A measure of wheat and 3 measures of barley. All right, "And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." So the oil and wine represent the elect, because even though things are going up, things are going up. There's famine setting in, there's drought setting in certain parts of the world. All right, the elect is still going to eat and drink according to Isaiah 65. Yeah, Isaiah 65. Okay, I believe it's Isaiah 65 and 13. So that's what's happening. So things in the earth are going to get really tight. We're about to see that happening. All right. Let me see if I can find something here. A cab of doves. Cab of doves dung. Second Kings 6 and 25. Let's go here. Let's get the book of Second Kings 6 and in and around the 25th verse. Let's go here. The siege of Samaria and cannibalism, all these things happen. It says, and it came to pass after this that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it. Right? On when they besiege a city, All right, they know, things, whatever's left in the city, gonna come very expensive. Right? And they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. Right? That's 80 pieces of silver, an ass's head, which is an ass is an unclean animal. Right? An unclean animal, which you're not supposed to eat it. But Jake was so hard up. All right? It says, and a fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver, right? Dove shit. All right, basically. All right, that's how expensive it got. Things were so hard. And that led to what? Cannibalism. And this is exactly what's going to happen in this time also. Things are going to be so tight, they're going to start eating your own children. All right, these women, which is one of the curses, by the way, in Deuteronomy 28 chapter. All right, so, don't be surprised when you see these things hit. Things are going to be really, really hard. Things are going to get really, really tight. With the crashing of the economy, the different, the stock markets, the bond market, the real estate market. These markets are going to crash. And it's going to all, there are going to be less and less goods coming in due to the tariffs that Trump put in place, to be sold. Therefore, more and more people are going to be laid off their jobs. And that means that, they're not going to have money to buy food. And food is already going to be and going up. All right. So you can imagine the catastrophe, that's going to take place. This is why the devil, Klaus Schwab, from the World Economic Forum, said what he said, that they're going to have, it's going to be an angry time. All right. It's going to be an angry time because people are going to be hungry. People are going to be thirsty. People are going to have no place to live. People who paying rent. You're going to have to be on the streets. A lot of people are going to be homeless. Right? So this has far-reaching ramifications. This is what's going on. And the thing is, it's only going to get worse. This is why we say turn unto the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Only the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai could save you out of what's coming. Alright? Only the Lord could save you. Let's go here. Zephaniah 1. And let's see here. 1 and verse 10. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills, the different economies of the world. Right? When the US dollar goes down, a lot of these other currencies going to come crashing down like dominoes. Because, the US dollar was the most sought after currency. Everybody pegged after it. Everybody held US dollars. Even in Trinidad and Tobago here, there's a problem with foreign exchange with some of these companies. All right, to get foreign exchange to purchase goods. All right, so people already have been starting to be laid off. All right, and it's just going to get worse. It says, howl, ye inhabitants of Maktesh, right, a merchant city. For all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. Right, so it's not going to be nice. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish the men that are settled on their lease. The men who didn't want to hear this word, who heard this word and didn't want to act on it. This is what's going to happen. The Lord is going to look for you. He's going to find you. And when all hell breaks loose, according to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, men are going to take matters into their own hands. Scripture talk about them having swords in their hands, which is a gun. Modern day sword is the gun. Going around, spoiling your goods, your wife, your daughter. All right, this is what's going to happen. They're going to take women and they're going to take your children. All right, it says, the Lord, all right, the men that are settled on their lease that say in their heart, Yahweh will not do good, neither will he do evil. All right, therefore their good shall become a booty, right, and their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. The great day of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai is near. It is near and hasted greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. All right? The mighty man going to cry. So what you Jake's going to do? All right? That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men that they shall walk like blind men, right? Because they have sinned against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as dung, because why? You're not going to be buried. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai's wrath. And now, it can't be deliver them. In fact, the scriptures say that, they're going to throw their silver in the streets. And go to Ezekiel, the 7th chapter, and around 19 verse. It says what? I'll start at verse 17. It says, all hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. They shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them, and shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon all their heads. They shall cast their silver in the streets, because it's going to be no good. US dollar going to be no good, right? And their gold shall be removed, right? Because the government going to seize all their money, whatever little you have. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because they put their store on money. And wisdom is a defense and money is a defense. But the excellency of wisdom is that it giveth life to those that have it. Money can't give life. This fake fiat currency, we say the digital currency that's coming when they're going to implement the later on the MOTB, the RFID CHIP, all right, potato chip. Okay, that's not going to save you. All right, it says them and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is a stumbling block of their iniquity, the love of money. Love of money is what? The root of all evil. All right, going back here, Zephaniah 1 and verse 18. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai's wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. And the blackouts are coming. The hyperinflation is coming. A lot of these companies going to be shutting down, according to these precepts. In the Ecclesiastes 7 and in fact Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. See if you get that. 12 and 7. Is it that boy? Let me see if I can get this. Ecclesiastes 12. Here we go. It says Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. So they're going to be less and less jobs. All right, for you, Jake, to do. All right. And those that look out the windows be darkened. Especially women going to be in a bad state, afraid to go about the street. It ain't going to have no police, no form of authority, no 911 to call. All right. This is what's happening here. They're going to have to find a righteous man of the Lord to be with, to be saved. For you women out there. Because women are the most proud in society. It says, verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, right, the alarm clock. And all the daughters of music shall be brought low, right? The daughters of music, those women who, they like this world partying, living it up. As the scripture says, she that liveth in pleasure is what? Dead while she liveth. All right, so this is what's about to take place. The scene is mainly women crying. They're bawling out. All right, because things not going to be good. All the pride is going to come crashing down on them. Like a ton of bricks. Literally, it's going to come crashing down. People are going to be fleeing out of America. They already are. But what Trump put in place there, it is just going to hasten things up. Jeremiah 51 and verse 6, it says, flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. This is the time. She has to go down economically and infrastructurally first. And then, she's going to be invaded. And the nuclear missile is going to come later. Along with the other 6 plagues. Pestilence plague, the sword, the teeth of wild beasts. A lot of things going to come upon Babylon the Great and around the world. All right? And how you flee out of Babylon spiritually first. It ain't about running back to Africa or whatever, but a lot of people are already fleeing and going back into South America, Central America, the Caribbean, etc. right? Because they can't survive in Babylon. Things have gotten too hard. The American dream is dead. All right, verse 7 says, Jeremiah 51:7, Babylon had been a golden cup in Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. And Babylon is not going to be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. So a lot of them abandoning Babylon the Great right now. A lot of places that, will open stores, people from the Caribbean, etc. Northern Kingdom from Central and South America, they're wrapping up, they're closing up shop and heading back home. All right. It says, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. This is what's going to happen. Her judgment is great. All right. All right. Verse 9 in the NLT says, we would have helped her if we could, but nothing can save her now. Let her go. Abandon her. The American dream is about to be being abandoned right now. Return now to your own land, for her punishment reaches to the heavens. It is so great, it cannot be measured. And that's the nuclear missiles eventually that will come and completely wipe out and destroy, and disintegrate everything on the surface of America. And below the ground too, below the bunkers. If you're in a bunker beneath America, you're going to be burnt up like an oven. All right, so, hey, this is the time that we're living in. Time to repent. And, cost of living is going up. Things are getting more expensive. Hell is breaking out. Hell is about to break loose. All right, prophecies are coming to pass. In World War III, MOTB. All right, that's the time we're in. So I hope this lesson was edifying. Until the next time, Shalom, Waharag Babal.